This is a very personal issue to me. As some of you may know, I'm originally from El Paso, Texas. I grew up in the Las Cruces, New Mexico, El Paso area, out in West Texas. You know, I was born to a single mother, and we lived in less than ideal circumstances. My mother married and divorced twice, and we moved often. I actually went to 4 different elementary schools. Needless to say, my mother made some poor decisions. After her divorce from her second husband, we moved back to El Paso from Las Cruces because the divorce left us with almost nothing. When I say we, I'm also including the younger brother and sister that came from the second marriage. My grandmother actually tried to take us in, but this was in 1981, and as you recall, this was shortly after the Jimmy Carter years, and I'm pretty sure you remember stagflation and Jimmy Carter's presidency. Well, needless to say, times were tough. My grandmother lost her job, and we eventually ended up homeless. We moved into the Salvation Army homeless shelter in El Paso, Texas. Because I was 12, going on 13 years old, I was deemed too old to be put in the women's family section, and I was placed over in the men's vagrant section. We were there for nearly a year. I would say somewhere between 9 and 10 months. I actually missed most of my 8th grade year of school. Back then, you needed a permanent address in order to go to the local school. I didn't have one. Again, at the age of 13, I really couldn't understand why this was happening to me. You know, it was a real dark moment for me. A real dark moment in my life. You know, I would stay up at night wondering, why is this happening to me? Excuse me. After several months, and no end in sight for this event, for what was happening, that was pretty much at the end of my rope. But one day, I saw a man reading the Bible at his bunk. Now, the man that was reading there, his name was Martin. Very quiet, unassuming man, and I'd seen him before, but I never spoke to him because, again, he was a very quiet guy. And so, being as frustrated and angry as I was, I went over there to play devil's advocate, literally. I mean, I was, you know, questions like, why would God allow this poverty? Why would this suffering? You know, I was basically thinking about myself at the time, but it was the same. I was asking those questions. After a few questions and answers, he stopped me, and he said, and I'll give you a quote verbatim. God has given you everything you need to be successful in life. He's given you 2 eyes to see, 2 ears to hear. Excuse me. It's been 27 years, but this is still very hard for me. Thank you.
You're welcome.
A healthy body, and most importantly, mind. He has given you a mind to think. All you have to do is go out and do it.
Amen.
Those words changed my life. I went from being a victim of my circumstances to being a man with God-given ability to succeed in life. Those words, excuse me, those words meant everything. I look back with certainty that on that day I was set on the path of freedom. The chains of victimhood were broken. Instead of wallowing in self-pity and despair of my situation, I looked for opportunities to better myself. Instead of asking, why has this happened to me, I asked, what can I do to change it? I took personal responsibility for my life. And I also made a promise never to allow this to happen to my kids. I didn't know it at the time, but that was the day I became a Republican.